this is another good graph. It's really more graphic than a graph, but even though it's complicated, we can kind of figure out what's going on. So up here is the seats, and all the little grid marks represent the seats in the House of Representatives. Down here is the Senate, right? And then they have us, the picture shows the wealth distribution. So the number of people that are in the top 1% of income in America in the House is right here. And then in the Senate is right here. So those deep red ones show the House of Representative and Senate members that are in the top 1% of income in America. And then the pinkish red shows the next 9%. So in other words, everything that's red and pink is the top 10% of income brackets in America. So here's 1% here, here's 2 through 10 here, and the lighter pink, I should say. And then the following 10%, so that would mean this light blue region here, those are the people that are in the 11 to 20% range. And then the deepest blue are people that are lower than that. Okay, so let me write that up. Hold on one second. Okay, so I just wrote that up, that the top is the red is the top 1%, then here is the 2 through 10%. In the blue region is the 11 through 20%, same as down here. This is the House, this is the Senate. And then the deep blue is the number of people in the House and the number of people in the Senate who are in the bottom 80% of income. And so what this shows is that where most Americans are, their elected representatives are not. So the graph shows vividly that those elected to the House, how about just to Congress, right? The House and Senate, right? Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Right, so those elected to Congress have a much higher income level than the average American. Cool. Right? And you can make some comparisons as well, but it's interesting that the Senate and the House, not very different from each other. The House has a little bit more numbers, obviously, but it's not really larger in terms of percent that are in that lower group. And the House and Senate appear to be very similar. Perhaps a little bit less of those in the bottom 80% in the Senate, which makes sense because the Senate's a bit harder to get into than the House of Representatives. They get elected only every 6 years as opposed to every 2 years. All right. Next, what about unemployment? So this is unemployment. This is a time series graph, but it's a pretty complicated one because it actually shows 3 different levels, right? So you have those that are out of a job, or out of work and looking, and then those light blue right here, this kind of periwinkle color, that's what actually gets reported as the jobless rate in America. So you can see, there's 15 million people that are out of work in America. But then there's a whole other thick blue band in here of people that work part-time, but they want to work full-time jobs, but they don't get counted as jobless because they have a job. They're just not getting paid enough, or they're not working enough hours. A lot of economists call this the underemployed region, that blue region right there. And then the light blue region are all those that don't have a job and they're not even looking for whatever reason. So together, those stack up to equal how many people are really out of work in the U.S. Okay, let me pause you, and I'm going to write that up into a little sentence. There we go. You can read that over and pause me and type it up, but it's what I was just saying. What's interesting about this, of course, is that many economists argue that we look at this periwinkle number all the time. They, listen to a show and they'll tell you the unemployment rate. But what we really should be looking at is these 3 combined rather than the periwinkle one. You should look at all of them. Those that are underemployed, those that are unemployed, those that are unemployed and not even bothering to look for employment because they think it's hopeless or because they're injured or whatever.